I was reflecting on a quote by Brian Tracy, and he said that the secret of success is constancy of purpose. So I'm thinking on this, that things can go up and down in life, that things can go against us, but the successful people, the ones that stay true to purpose, they're the ones that come through because they're living in the moment with a song in their heart, which is their purpose. So let's investigate this a little deeper. This is a place where those who suspect they're innately wise, brilliant and powerful come to learn how to transform their lives, one cognition, one realization and one blinding flash of the obvious at a time. We are the innovators, the record breakers, the world makers and creators of all kinds. We supersede the suppressive worldview of mass ignorance and awaken the strength within. We are waking up to our innate secrets. My name is Dr. Mark Postles and welcome to the Innate Secrets podcast. So purpose is a minute-by-minute thing. It's who we are. It's the identity that we've taken on board. It's the higher aspirations that we have, and therefore it's who that we are being. So our purpose then is a guide. It's a guide for our direction. And if you like, it's our true north. When we go for a given outcome, we see where we're going and we strive for that outcome. When we go for a goal, we see or at least can envisage the goal. We can have some tangible relationship to the goal. But with a purpose, it's an intrinsic thing. It's within us. It's not necessarily having to be fanned by external evidence. We do a purpose based on a series of calculations and computations, and that is what we do. And it's with us moment by moment. It's not I'll be happy when I get to my purpose, as one might say, as far as a goal goes, for example, or to a lesser degree maybe an outcome. So we're given this power to decide. We have the prefrontal cortex, which is the forebrain, and it's the newest area in the forebrain. And in the innate model, we term this quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. Quadrant 1 on the right, quadrant 4 on the left. And this is the front part of the brain. It's the most highly evolved part. It's the most recently evolved part. And it's an area that allows us to intuit. It allows us to take in ideas or thoughts, and we don't know where they're from, but they seem to make sense, and if we trust them and flow with them, they for some reason seem to work out a lot of the time. And so there's a high level of trust involved in this. There's a seeking of big ideas, of potentialities and possibilities, and we act according to that and trust it, and therefore are willing to go forward into it. And so this is one area in which purpose can manifest itself, and probably from a conscious position, we'll describe this and go through this in maybe some later podcasts. We'll actually define and create our purpose in a more conscious way. But that's not to say that animals and insects and all levels of life don't have purpose. Yes, they do have a purpose, and often I think purpose is something that we see retrospectively. In other words, we do our thing. We are in our sweet spot. We do what is right and what is nurturing and in a direction which is admirable. And in retrospect, we realise that, wow, that was actually my purpose in terms of the effects that it's generated. So the opposite to this would be the reactivity of the hindbrain, which is more instinct. And so it's distinct from the intuitive forebrain. So the quadrants 2 and 3 is looking after our self-preservation, our survival, and that then will act instinctively to keep us safe, to move us away from the things that we're afraid of or that could be possibly dangerous to us, and as distinct from the forebrain, which moves us towards the things that are attractive and things that we're that we have as a high value, high aspiration, and that is collectively called purpose. When we're on that track. So within this and some of the following podcasts, I wanted just to reflect on a few wise people through the history of mankind, and maybe dissect some of their utterings on purpose. So James Allen comes to mind as one of those people, and he made a comment that all successful people are people of purpose. That's a fairly bold statement. He went on to say that they hold fast to an idea, a project, a plan, and will not let it go. They cherish it, brood upon it, tend to develop it, and when assailed by difficulties, they refuse to be beguiled into surrender. I think this is a critical component of purpose here, is that that we have a purpose and it's very strong, so it keeps us bobbing back up again in the face of difficulties. James Allen went on to say that indeed the intensity of the purpose increases with the growth or the growing magnitude of the obstacles encountered. So in other words, the bigger the obstacles, the more resolute the purpose. And I think you can see that in terms of successful people. Say, I don't know, we take a simple thing like money. A person who is not very good at money and money things, and maybe living on the breadline, is threatened by money and can't really handle money. And if money is given to them, they'll soon get rid of it. So they'll get back to their state of comfort with money. So their purpose is not particularly strong in that area. And you compare that up through the scale of people who can progressively handle money and have a higher purpose around the use of money, and they know how to generate it and to create it and to hold on to it and make it multiply. So as we go up through that scale to the millionaires and the billionaires and the trillionaires and beyond, then there's increasing obstacles. There's a growing magnitude of the obstacles that one would encounter, and yet that's what strengthens the purpose. And it strengthens the resoluteness of it. So, as they say that you're not a millionaire until you've lost $1 million, which is probably a fair comment relative to this, is that the fact of going through the experience of, and we'd say we've just chosen money on this particular occasion, but it could be anything. Going through something builds that resilience, so that next time it's recovered very much easier. It's easier to do, and it takes us to the next level of level R, which is another obstacle, which is at a far greater magnitude than the previous one, and that then challenges there, but we're much better equipped then to deal with it. So purpose is the driver of this. Purpose is what keeps us from getting back up. You look at a child as they're learning to walk. They don't lie on the ground all defeated just because they fell over. Their purpose is to walk. The purpose is to master this gravity-defying activity called walking, and they'll jump straight back up again, and they may have a little cry, but they'll get right back up again and go for it again. So, purpose is a driver. Purpose is something that is common with all successful people, no matter what walk of life. So, the Franklin Roosevelt said it this way. He said, to reach a port, one must sail. Sail, not tie at anchor, and sail, not drift. And this is in the context of using the prevailing forces to propel oneself towards the direction that their purpose dictates. And sailing is just that. It's taking the opposing force of the wind on the sails to propel the sails forward, even towards the wind, by using various curves in order to create attraction that pulls one towards the wind. So this is an activity, it's action. Purpose is something which is dynamic. It's something that we are doing moment to moment. It's not like I have a goal and I'll just write it on a bit of paper and put it into my drawer, and I'll come back to it in a few years' time and we'll see what's happened. Now, it's quite interesting because that can be a very good way of reaching goals, and I've certainly done that myself. I've written goals, and in fact, in one case, it was 25 years later, came back and recognised I'd attained every one of those goals, and yet I hadn't been consciously aware of them. But what I had been consciously aware of was moment by moment purpose. So when our purpose is big, then the manifestation happens in our life. So it's not necessarily about, from my viewpoint, not about setting goals. It's more about having a lofty purpose and then working towards that. And the manifestation of things just happen along the way, but they're not the real buzz. The buzz is living in the moment with the purpose. So another person who's oft quoted is James Ray. He said this way, that buried deep within each of us is a spark of greatness, a spark that can be fanned into flames of passion and achievement. That spark is not outside of you, it's born deep within you. And this is what we would see as the innate secret. That it's like we all tend to aspire to things outside of us and see that the power comes from outside, and is so not true. The wisdom is within, the power is within, and as we can tap into that, as we tap into that innate wisdom, that innate message for us, and I think every one of us, as Ray says, has a spark of greatness. We are geniuses within ourselves, and it's simply a matter of trusting that. And this is what I think that quadrant 1 and 4 part of our brain does, is it allows that to come in. It's not trying to get away from something. It's going towards the possibilities, allows it to come in, and allows it to blend with our heart, and allows us to get passion for that we're thinking of, or that is moving us, and it doesn't have to make sense. We'll comment in some later editions of this, actually, in terms of how do we find a purpose, or how do we do a purpose, or develop it, or create it, or whatever, because there's this process to that. The important part at this point to realise, the thing is, that we do a purpose. All of us have a purpose. It's often in retrospect that we find out what that purpose was, and yet for all of us, there is something that resonates. And when we follow that resonates, and trust it, and launch ourselves into it, we are close to, and if it makes our heart sing, where it's close to being described as a purpose. So this is set in jelly. This is not a hard-coded thing. Purpose is something that we feel, that we sense, that we entrust to make decisions upon and to follow. And it can come in and out of focus from time to time. It constantly is able to be redefined. It can be very clumsily brought into words. So, there are words that can capture that feeling, that kinesthetic essence that gets our skin going goosebumply, that gets our heart ticking and resonating with that song, or that vibration of the energy of purpose. So have a look at this in your life. Just see, what is it that really is your sweet spot, that really makes you sing, makes you hum, makes you say, yes, this is it. I love this. I love it. It's and love too is a very say high vibration word that would indicate that you're close to purpose. When you're using words like I have to, or I should, or I must, they're low level words that would indicate that you're not on purpose. So do you ever say to yourself, do I just love to go to the office this morning, I love to go to work this morning, or is it like, I've got to go to work? If that's the case, then that could be an indicator that maybe what you're doing in the name of work is not your play. It's not the essence of you, and maybe there's a time for redefining that. So this is about trusting one's innate wisdom, to be one with self and to be consistent with the purpose that resonates within, and not getting all tied up in the external events, the goals and the outcomes and so forth, which, they're a fun game to play, but the real essence of us is our calling. So have a ponder upon this, and you may even be, as we've been talking here, realizing some of the areas where you maybe are violating your purpose, maybe where you're confirming your purpose. So flow with that and go through a little check sheet as you consider these words. Let us show you how to fire your brain in ways that serve you so that you can be confident, connected, and bring joy and passion into what you do every day. Get a free copy of my book, The Innate Model. Go to theinnatemodel.com/free book.